I'm not saying that I single-handedly set the direction for the X-T5, but I like to think that I had a hand in it. If you follow this channel, you know that I have been somewhat critical of Fujifilm camera releases as of late, specifically the X-H2 and the X-H2S. While those bodies are more geared toward professional shooters, the introduction of the PASM dial on a pro body like that was a little disconcerting, and it was really a downer for someone like myself. So if you watched any of my videos, you'll know that I talked a lot about the soul of Fuji and the fact that they are light, nimble, they have manual controls, they're fun to use, and more importantly, they give just terrific image output straight out of the camera. So I think they heard that message loud and clear. And of course, I recognize it probably was not just from me per se, but many people stepped forward and said, hey, look, this is the direction, the XH line, make that the professional line, fine, but you got to give us something for the enthusiasts. And that is exactly what they've done with the X-T5. It is a return to the basics, if you will, right? Where it is photography first. Anyone who shoots Fuji, myself included, really started on stills. Videography has become much bigger as of late. In the past 3 or 4 years, it's really taken off. But for most people shooting Fuji, they are looking for the manual controls. And the X-T5 is a return to that in a smaller body. So it is really the best of both worlds, because not only are you getting the best tech, the most current sensor, the best processor, the latest and greatest in terms of autofocus, but you're getting those classic controls. As a Fujifilm user for many, many years, I can tell you that this is going to sell like hotcakes, much more so than the XH line. And those cameras are not bad. I mean, the reviews are coming out and they are not bad cameras. I still think the X-T5 is going to cater much more to Fuji enthusiasts than some of those XH two bodies. One thing I was absolutely stunned that they did was they returned the screen to a 3-way tilt screen. That was a big deal. So I thought there was no way they were going to do that. And basically it just flies in the face of the YouTube crowd, because everything is selfie screens nowadays, fully articulating screens. So to not have that feature in a camera, you are immediately alienating that crowd. So the people who are considering this particular camera, now they're not even going to consider it because you literally can't flip the screen around, which is fine, and I think there's so many Fuji enthusiasts that are happy about that. I know myself, I shoot a lot of video and I am filming myself, of course, so I do need something with the fully articulating screen. But for me, with video, I thought Sony was the better option, simply because it has quite a bit more sophisticated IAF. And in real world situations, it just flat out performs better than Fuji. And for all the people out there that are saying like, oh no, that's not true, you gotta try out the new one, the latest firmware. I've tried it on I'll say several occasions. I think it's been 3 occasions now I've tried it, and each time I come away disappointed with the results. Even if it's just a little bit of a wobble. Just a little bit is enough, because the other option is to go with a Sony, which doesn't have that. So anyways, I'm digressing and I don't mean to do that. I am excited about the X-T5. I think it is going to be a phenomenal camera. It's going to sell well. Will I be upgrading? I don't think so. And the only reason why is because I just don't need it. I mean, all too often in this camera gear space, people are just buying stuff just to test it out, to put a video on it, get a bunch of people to view it, and that's fine. That's not me. That's not what I'm all about. I much prefer I'm a buy and hold kind of guy, if you will. Now, is that boring? Probably, but it's much more cost effective, and I don't switch systems. I don't take switching systems very lightly, and I also don't do this full time. I know a lot of other people do, and that is their main source of income. But for me, this is really just an outlet to share my thoughts. And I found that within this channel, there is a community of others that also share maybe similar views, or maybe are critical of some of the things that I have to say about their particular camera or camera brand, and that's okay too. Ultimately, it's just a group of people who are enthusiasts, who are really interested in possibly the gear, but more importantly, what can the gear do for you? And for me, right now, for video anyways, the Sony is the better option. I have the A7 IV and I'm filming right now on the FX3, But for stills, I still much prefer Fuji. So back to the question, am I gonna upgrade or not? I have the X-H1 and I still have some Fuji lenses. I've sold off a number of my Fuji bodies, the X-T3, the X-T4, and I also had an X-T20 that I sold off. And I've sold off some lenses too. I think the 18-55, the 23 f2, the 32 f1.8 Zeiss to it. But I've still got some other lenses. I got the 16-55, I've got the 10-24, and I have the new 18-1.4, which is a spectacular lens. If you are considering that lens, just don't consider it, just go out and buy it. I mean, it's one of those lenses that is just it's so good, and that field of view is really nice. I prefer that actually versus the 60mm 1.4, which I had at one point in time but eventually sold. So anyways, X-H1 to X-T5, it would be certainly a step up, but for me, with all of the other gear that I currently have, the A7IV, the FX3, and then again the X-H1 and the X100V, which I use a ton, I just don't think it makes sense for me to spend the money right now on something like that. Those are my thoughts on the X-T5. What do you think? Do you think it's going to be a fantastic, best-selling camera toward the tail end here of 2022, or do you think there are other options out there? And the ones I'm thinking of are like the Canon R7, and maybe if you're into video, the Sony FX30, which is similarly priced. Do you think it's going to sell well? Are you excited about it? Have you placed your pre-order? Let me know it down in the comments below. And if you did enjoy this video, make sure that you smash the like button and also click the subscribe button down below to be notified of future videos. Thanks for watching. Take care. Oh, and for anyone wondering why I have the backpack in front of me, it's because I'm testing out a couple of microphones here. These are microphones from Immersive Sound, which is a company out based in France. I'm not sure if he's in Paris or not, but somewhere in France. And it's this tiny little operation. I don't even know how we stumbled onto these microphones, but my experience thus far is that they are incredible and they were relatively inexpensive. I think for the pair of them I paid less than $100. They're XLR microphones, so I just plug them directly into my F6 and then I set them up as a stereo pair. So that is why I have my backpack in the shot, in case anyone was wondering. That's it. See ya.